I don't know if it's appropriate to start this one with the peace, and so I'll play it safe this time and skip it. I want to give a shout out again, um, but I can't remember who it was. Well, I'm gonna give a shout out to A Dean because I just discovered that he came through in the Cash App. The notification came late, uh, and it doesn't reflect in the balance, which is not his fault. It's just maybe they're holding it up for whatever reason. But um, shout out to him. I cannot find the comment in which someone told me that Tommy Sotomayor interviewed Umar Johnson's daughter, or that the Saint and Sinner interviewed her. But someone did tell me, and I didn't see it, and so I recently just saw the highlights of it. Gentlemen, you don't have to like or hate Umar Ungawa. I don't like him. I don't really take kindly to anybody leaving the faith because that's just the rules. But then, lying about it is really something. And I don't take kindly to people over talking those who tell them what the truths are. And Ungawa Johnson will just over talk anybody that tries to tell them, listen, the racism that you come across from non-black people is not a part of the religion. It's there, but that's not a part of the faith. That's just N-words being N-words. He'll jump in, shut you up. See, brother, you need to know. You need to. And that's if you want to call him brother. I don't. Look, nonetheless, there's one thing I've stated before about even some of these ain't fit ninjas that these women want to lay down with. Manosphere Hall of Fame is one person amongst many who has explained to me, rightfully so, that there are multiple reasons that sisters have for wanting these no good ninjas. And one of them is so that their own flaws don't show up. That is true. But another reason is because they themselves believe the stereotypes about ain't fit, no good ninjas running out on their kids and not being there. They believe this themselves. And so, since they believe this, they'll pick guys that they think could be either they're breeders and all they want is a DNA, or they're breeders and they think maybe they'll get some child support later on. But they want a stepdad, a fatherless, a childless stepdad to raise them. That's the dual mating strategy. And a no good ninja is ideally or stereotypically very good for that because they would skeet and retreat, um, blow and then go. Nut and then fit the guck. You get the idea. But even ain't fit ninjas don't really want to abandon kids they know are theirs. They would rather not do that. Sadly enough, uh, for these women, they didn't realize that they're going to have to drive away these men. And Omar's not your stereotypical thug. He's not a thug. So I didn't believe right off the bat myself that he just ditched and abandoned a daughter. If she wasn't one of the two daughters that he said he had, she would have come out and been like, he sat up there and said that he had two. No, he got three. She never said she was one out of three and that he only admitted to having two. She never said that. He also came forward and was like, wait a minute, hold up. I got the receipts. He didn't deny being a dad. He's like, no, he's pretty consistent. He's saying, no, I didn't bail on you. You, me, and Mama Bear need to have a talk about this. The way she acted on Tommy Sotomayor's stream, although it's Tommy Sotomayor, the way she acted was very stereotypical and low intellect. Western women, it goes to show you that Western women have never really had to grow up. And as Shahrazad Ali said, Western black women have never even had to grow past the mental age of 14 because what have we not done? Well, we've not given them requirements. And the funny thing is, one of the requirements that we black men do tend to have from women is that they not be completely mentally handicapped and that they be of age, chronologically speaking. We don't want them at a mental disadvantage developmentally, and we don't want them actually too young, legally speaking. Most of us don't want that. The few that do, of course, would say, well, they are said to say about these women, well, they're easy prey. The women are easy prey. I would say that while there are a few guys that do, those men are likewise easy prey for the women that the rest don't want. Ungawa Johnson's daughter had the nerve to get up and say, hold black men accountable. What does this situation between her mom, and her dad have to do with other black men that are not her father? That's the issue. It's about black men. Now there are women who get financially incentivized to bash black men. I'm trying to remember who it was that said that they had seen. Oh no, it was BGS that said that. Yeah, BGS said that he had known some ladies that got paid to do it, and that there was at least a situation in which he saw the bank transfers. They're paid. So hell, in a bad economy, when it's hard for everybody, you consider sit up and just start bashing black men and start making some dough. And so, and those who would pay you may want you to have a big subscriber base, even if they don't all pay. It's like, look, if you got a big subscriber base, they'll turn around and pay. Look, gentlemen, Ungawa Johnson's daughter set up and showed why it is that you have to avoid these broads. AC Accountable Commentary has been right about something. You don't you should not be pursuing sisters. You should not be choosing sisters. And I'm telling you why you can't choose them. Moms will drive, these Westernicias will drive you away. And if you are a masculine acting black man, they hope they can drive you away from your kids. And get a child a stepdad to do the raising and rearing. That's what they're looking for. That's what they seek from the very beginning. I don't know what to tell these young brothers in terms of finding better. It's not there in the West where you are. There is no better there. When you see a woman like this reach 22 and then quickly in arguments forget to say, hey, what's my sister's number? Then it becomes exactly what Ungawa Johnson knew she was trying to do. Clout chase. She's like, I got an audience of 3,000. She acted like she wasn't even 22 when she was on that panel with, or that stream with Tommy Sotomayor. And Tommy called her a black B word. There's a part of me that wants to defend black women in general from that, but I wouldn't have a leg to stand on. Now, we know he's talking about the ones in the West primarily, but you know what? The way things are going in the continent, as I've stated, is getting bad there too. Pretty soon, you start talking about that 4C, wide nose, big lip, abundantly melanated sister from the continent. And I won't have a leg to stand on to defend her either. See, I saw it as I was scrolling Facebook just a little while ago, this post that said, what do things that a man wants to hear a woman say during bump and grind. Okay. And I thought, well, this is going to be hilarious if I go and see what the comments are, but I don't think I want to see that right now. But even as I scrolled past it, some comments were already showing up. Not all of them, but some were showing up. And one of them was a lady with a name that I think was from the continent, but I don't know from which language. And it said, I don't like doing, she said in her comment, I don't do things that men enjoy. I don't do things that men enjoy. So then I went ahead and clicked on her name to see what her language would be, if I could recognize it at all. And I probably couldn't. And she had some writing in what appeared to be Swahili. I can't prove it, but it seemed like it. This was not a West Tanisha that just happened to have an African name. No, she had a name from back home and she spoke a language from back home. I'm not playing around with these folks, and I know most of y'all ain't either. I don't care what her reason is. Someone got to her with this misandry, and she feels comfortable posting now, even though she had a laughing emoji after she said that. She felt comfortable posting that she doesn't want to do things that men enjoy. That is a comment that is identifiable between misandrists. So I stated before that what's going to wind up happening is that you are going to have a generation of black boys now that will become black men, and they will no longer want black women because they're black. The blackness of the women will be enough to unattract them, to repel them. And then I later found out that there were some guys my age that had already been through this. They were being re-imprinted. There's the imprint, and then there's the re-imprint. And they were being re-imprinted to no longer want black women because women with other features and looser hair were treating these guys much better. And then you also had situations in which guys that were adults, but not quite as old as me, were going through this. But then I realized that these guys are bound to have this because with social media being what it is, conversations between Western sisters that used to be private are now public, and they're openly saying, I don't like black men. I don't want black men. I can't stand these broke dusties. And then they turn around and say that Brad is looking to be a family man. And then, as Accountable Commentary recently showed us, Brads are getting picked up for owing back child support. And so I looked at these Brads that were being picked up for this back child support. And one of them simply said, I owe money. I've been unemployed. I've been paying, but I just haven't paid enough. Well, do you plan on paying? How do you ask a man that tells you he's been unemployed? Do you plan on paying? If I find the money, I don't like anyone that sits up and asks unemployed, financially struggling men about the future. They're trying to get men to commit to future results to which they can't commit because they can't promise them. I'm traumatized still to this day by my ex-wife in the States asking me stuff like that. Well, when do you think I don't think? You know what? Never. Now, because you asked, I believe that God will never relieve me of this. Ever. And it turned out when I ditched her, he did. Can't even say when I ditched her. It was more like when I just wouldn't be around her anymore. He relieved my financial suffering, but I had to leave Atlanta. And I did. And then the next time I got financial relief, I had to leave the States. But I'm still traumatized by the question. It was bad for my relationship with God, and I was Muslim at that time. The adversarial, hateful view that I had of God before being Muslim, I was beginning to develop as a Muslim, trying my hardest not to, but I really thought that he was behind this. And it was largely because a lot of Muslims would tell me, and in each other, not just me, but they would tell each other things like, the decree of Allah. And they would just answer that. You would use that to answer every single thing when you still needed a more nuanced answer than that. Because, Negroes and spirituality, whatever the belief system is. And it ain't just Negroes that had that. Oh, these Bedouins will kill you with their car. They will run you over. Not intentionally, but they will run you over and kill you and get out the car and see they killed you. Be like, oh, Qadr Allah. The decree of Allah. You're looking at them like, no, dummy, you were on your phone texting somebody and you hit someone. You hit a pedestrian. Qadr Allah. And then they're going to try to get witnesses to be like, tell the insurance guys that he got in front of me. No, you just said Qadr Allah. No, you tell the insurance guy that God decreed that you would go off to the right side of the road and hit this guy. No. And so they'll really get on your nerves with that stuff. I'm telling you, the young Gulf Arab man, I'm not saying Arab man, but the young Gulf Arab man that is a Bedouin is almost as unaccountable as the ABW. And hell, as the Western woman in general. And see, the difference I found is that the Western white woman will cry to avoid accountability. The Western sister will try many things, and crying is one of them, like that chick that repeatedly bludgeoned her teammate with the baton in the head. Crying was one of her tactics.
She's one that did that. But sisters got all kinds of stuff. Normally, they just try to overtalk you. That's what they start with. Then twist stuff up around, keep trying to overtalk you. That's normally what they do. Crying is probably, that's like when you bring the video out, like what happened to her. And Ungawa Johnson's daughter is one of those that is not going to apply accountability to herself or to her mother. She stated, and Dennis Sperling said this, that she wanted to stay with mom because dad was strict. Now she wants to sit up and just keep on jumping up and down on her dad's head. No wonder he can't open that school up. He paid child support, and this is how you act. You didn't want to see him. You just wanted him to pay your not strict mom to permissively raise you, and this is what the hell you've grown into. As I stated before, what we have done wrong is that we have been too easy. And one of the reasons we've been too easy is that we've been tricked into it. We were led to think that it wasn't really much different for other people. We pretty much thought that, all these guys got to deal with certain disadvantages from the women of their particular group. Come to find out, they all do, but they ain't got to deal with what we had to deal with. White guys just recently had to start dealing with some of the same stuff. But no, for the most part, they haven't had to. And they don't usually have to until their women have been exposed to the West for too long. Then they do. And I'm going to tell you this, guys. When these women start talking about what all they have to do and how they have to fulfill so many roles, wife and mother, and have a job, understand it is based on the things they wanted. How do I know? Remember, I told you guys that they want for you whatever you don't want for yourself, and they want for themselves whatever you don't want for them. Ungawa Johnson's daughter is one of those examples. Hold black men accountable. That man's like, listen, we'll have a talk about this. We'll sort this out. And now she wants to go public with the private messages. So whatever he wants, she doesn't want. He wanted her to spend time with him when she was younger so that he could teach her some things that a dad should be able to teach. And some of that was discipline and some stricture. So she wanted to be with moms. Now she wants to sit up and act like he definitely wanted nothing to do with her, like he just abandoned her, after what she said. She tells on herself, and Tommy Sotomayor just went the uck farf on her, and I don't have a leg to stand on to defend her if I wanted to, which I don't. And Tommy Sotomayor had more right to do what he did than she did to say what she said. Hold black men accountable. Black men are involved, dads, as long as they're not stopped and driven away from that. He turned around and went off on her for following that black B-word culture, and he was right. That's exactly what the hell she follows. She's a hyena, monkey B-word. I don't like talking like this about a black woman I don't know. But we heard her saying stupid stuff and trying to overtalk Tommy Sotomayor for fun. And if Tommy Sotomayor said something mean to her first, that was out of pocket for him. But nonetheless, that's Tommy Sotomayor. What I mean is that she went on there for that reason. If he said something to her first and he provoked it, that's why she went on there. 3,000 listening to her. That was so important to her. I got 4,800 subscribers. But you don't hear me sit up saying, oh my God, 4,800. And I've actually run this channel for a while. I had to get to this number over time. She decided to expose herself to 3,000 at one time by going on Tommy Sotomayor's show and then called him a clout chaser. That's why I'm talking about her so badly at this point. It turns out that the mom with whom she wanted to stay turned her into something so toxic, or she chose to be that from the very jump, and her mom allowed it. Either way it goes, she became exactly whom you cannot raise, with whom you cannot spend time, whom you cannot teach, from whom you must escape. That's why he did not reply to her with her sister's number. That's the reason. But what have we black men done wrong? Well, she just showed it. What we black men have done wrong is that we have sat there and been too easy again and again and again and again. And we just keep on being to mother cuss word easy. At what point are we going to stop? Ungawa Johnson, what we're thinking is he got some from her mama. We have to start understanding that because they always want for us what we don't want for ourselves, and they want for themselves what we don't want for them, it's more like he gave her mama some because her mama was able to frame it as she giving him some. No, he gave her mama some. And now look what her mama got. Child support for 18 years. A daughter, sister, friend, apparently, with whom to commiserate about N-words ain't that. He gave all of this to her. He wants to handle this with a discussion between all of them. She wants to go public. Discuss it with everybody but him. She wanted him to respond. He did. She then, instead of responding in kind, decides she wants to just keep dragging him publicly. So that's what it was about all along. It wasn't about fixing anything. She wanted to reach out to her sister so she could badmouth her dad to the sister, turn her into a misandrist. You see, let me go back to the complaint that I was telling you that a lot of women in general are going to have. I'm so busy. I have to do all of this. And they say that so that they can neglect the man. You know, they love to neglect you black men. Us black men. And so that's why they'll sit up and bother you about things that are expensive and keep doing it. And time consuming, and they'll keep bothering you about it. You say something to them about a quickie to catch up for lost time, and all of a sudden they too busy. I'm a wife and a mother, and I have to work. Okay, well, see, you want all this fancy stuff, so yeah, we're going to have to work. Of course, you a mother. What if I couldn't have any kids? The only way you'd have been with me would have been if you already had some and you wanted me to raise them. That's the only way. If I don't shoot the club up and conceive with you, you're going to go out your way to try to get me to do it because that's who the huck you are. They start complaining about these things. Just remember, they want you to feel guilty because you shot the club up because you might have enjoyed that. That's what they want. Go ahead and say to them, listen, suppose that I could have never conceived. And then you would have never had to worry about being a mom. Then what? Oh, they'd have made sure they weren't your wives no more. So you weren't ever going to win no matter what. And that's what I wanted you guys to understand. Whatever you want for them, they don't want for themselves. They want to become moms. They will go through great lengths to become that if no man makes them a mom. They want to work until they get older and tired. They want to work. Why? Well, you may simply want them to live within your means or work if they demand more. That's all you want. They want to live beyond your means and be on their own. So you both got to work. They want to become moms. So they're going to conceive. You may plan ahead so that they don't ever have to tell you, I'm so overwhelmed. They will turn around and screw up those plans so that they can sit up and tell you, I'm so overwhelmed. That's the whole point. The so-called results of your bad decisions are the only option they're giving you from the very beginning. They planned it and plotted it from the time that they didn't know you. That's their culture. They are trained to create catch-22s for you. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. They put most of their brain power to this. That's why they could be as dumb as a box of rocks about everything else in life, but they got vexing you and me down to an art and a science, whichever one's easier for them at the time. That's where they apply their brain power. They teach each other how to do it, and they don't even like each other. They just teach each other how to do it because they obviously hate us more. And initially, what it was is that was something that they were doing to the men that loved them. Now, and I mean romantically loved them, now they're teaching daughters to do this to their own dads. I shouldn't even say now, there's been something going on. But this daughter here was taught to do the same thing. Her mom was taught to do this to whoever was going to be Omar Johnson, whoever's going to be the father to her kids. She turned around and taught the daughter to do it to her own dad. She taught the daughter to do this to black men, period. And she's doing it. It doesn't matter if it's Tommy Sotomayor or her dad or the man that she's going to pick. And it's going to be a no good ninja that she's going to pick to love him and to lay down with him. And later to drive away from the kids, to repeat the cycle. And she's going to turn around and do the same thing to whoever she chooses if she can find someone to be the childless stepdad. No kids of his own, but he gets to be stepdad to her children, to Ungawa Johnson's biological grandchildren. And what I want is for the Geek Underground to be successful in telling these young boys what the games are so that she will have no hope of finding a step simp, a childless man who will sit up and play stepdad to her kids. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't want her to find anything better. I want for her, not because of fraud per se, or Schadenfreude. I don't even know how it's pronounced. Not because of that. That's when you enjoy seeing others suffer. But I want her to find no better option, because simply put, that's too good a deal for anyone. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is going to be, in another recording, I'm going to have to talk to you all about people of very loose sexual morality later on becoming Muslim. But right now, for this one, I wanted you all to understand that Ungawa Johnson's daughter is not doing anything by accident. It's by training. She may not think about much of what she's doing, but she's been trained to do this, and that's why she's doing it. Everything that vexes her dad, she is doing because it vexes the dad. His response is only, in her mind, good to show her what he doesn't want so she can do exactly that. And at this point, I don't even know if mom has to consult with her anymore for her to make those decisions. And maybe that mom does, and maybe that mom doesn't, but it's not necessary. I hope that what I've said helps out and benefits you. Thank you for listening. And as always, Black Card, Black Clown, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, and Black Heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it, and Black Patriarchy until extinction or Judgment Day. Thank you again for flying with us here on Jet Black Airways, where the phrase Jet Black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.